I hope time passes faster. I hope time passes faster when you're drunk. Misery has become a friend of mine, 'cause Lord knows that you weren't the cheating kind. Well, that's why it came as a surprise, seeing his reflection in your eyes. Oh, as I lay across this filthy bunk, I hope time passes faster when you're drunk. These days I walk along these lonely halls, taking stock of all those things that fall. For every day I brew this nasty swipe, when the bulls come round I hide it in a pipe. I toss and turn and pray to in this funk, and hope time passes faster when you...
There's my sound. Check, check, mic check. All right. Hello, if anybody's watching. So, yeah. So today, I was busy because I bought some stock that I'm putting into my store. Oh, let me just switch over to my camera here. All right. So I bought some stuff right here. This is some of the stuff that I got. This isn't all the stuff that I got. The rest of the stuff we're gonna get to, but I have a problem. But I've kind of contained it for the last couple of years by subsidizing it by opening an eBay store to sell off the stuff I don't want, to buy the stuff that I do want. But I buy a bunch of old collectible card games from the between the years of 94 to like 2002. That's my range. It's what I stick with. It's what I know. It's what I've done. So today, actually this weekend, I ended up purchasing a fairly substantial collection, and I parted out the stuff I didn't want, and this is some of the stuff I don't want, and I kept the stuff that I did want, and we'll get into some of that, some of it, not all of it. You'll notice I'm not painting. The first thing right off the bat, no painting today. I didn't have time. I was working all morning, working on listings, and I realized what time it was, and it was getting close. I was like, "Oh nope, I don't have time," and I didn't want to. I didn't want to. That's the honest truth. I didn't feel like it today. So tomorrow we'll be back to painting. But today we're talking about a little card game called. Let's get this the back here. That is backwards. Let's mirror that. There we go. Aliens Predator CCG. It's not everybody's favorite, but it's got a soft spot for me. I used to tournament with this back in the day, and I won a couple tournaments back when it was when it was live, when it was active, when people were hopeful that it would keep going, and it only made it through one expansion. It is not a terrible game. It's not a great game either. But here's some history here. The reason why I'm making a CCG now of my own has a lot to do with this type of thing through my formative and more like young adult years. More young adult, let's just be honest. I was pretty much already formed by the time I started doing this crap and spending a lot of money on it. And then I had a massive collection of stuff, which I then now use to part out to buy stuff that I always wanted to get when I was playing it back in the day. So that's kind of what this little thing is right here now. So this is dead CCG, but it's a cool dead CCG in my book. Um, like I said, I've won tournaments playing this, and it's a tough game. It's a tough game to collect. It's a tough game to play, to learn how to play it, because it shares a lot more in common with Star Wars CCG than a lot of. It's more. You got to think of it more of like a board game. It's the first thing. It's not like a collectible card game. It should have been done like a living card game or LCG. Not they do now, but it wasn't. It was done like this because they didn't really have that. They were starting that. I mean, this is the you got to remember this is the baby years. This is the adolescent toddler, very young years for collectible card games for that type of model. The LC, the living card game thing, the closest they had was Steve Jackson's original Illuminati, which was a boxed set you could buy, and then he didn't make enough money off that, so he made it a collectible card game too and still sells the box set today. So it's, I mean, you could still find it, but it wasn't really like people weren't coming out with an expansion every 4 months and then selling the whole expansion all at once like they do with the living card game thing, which is kind of a better way of doing something like this. The reason being is because if you wanted to play this game, this specific game, this Aliens Predator game, if you wanted to play it and have fun, the starters weren't the best way to do it. You had to buy a lot of stuff, like most collectible card games. Specifically, like if you wanted to have fun playing Star Wars, you had to invest a massive amount of money to try to get those mains. And that was kind of the downside of the collectible card game genre in the beginning. But it was also kind of like, it was, you can see something forming there, something tangible. And there's a good reason why I pretty much stopped after about 2001, 2002. Is I kind of grew out of it for a long time. Now my my nostalgia is kicking in my early old age. So I'm kind of revisiting some of those things back to the good old days, back to the insanity. It's never really left. It was just dormant, like cancer for a little while, but now here it is, full blown again. All right, so uh, there's a lot of I've played a lot of collectible card games between those years, from 2002, 2003. Yeah, what's up, Pop?
Go ahead. I can't. I've got constipation.
Okay, that's okay. I'm streaming already, so yeah. Yeah, I didn't need to use the restroom. I just wanted to make sure you knew. All right, and so now everybody else knows about my dad's constipation. That's why I warn him. I warn him before I stream, just for those kind of instances. But I mean, it's gonna happen. What was I talking about? Is anybody watching this right now? I'm gonna check just to see, because maybe somebody's struggling here thinking, "Oh, he's gonna be painting today." Oh no, tricks. I played tricks. Is anybody watching? Anybody watching? No, it's just I think it's there was somebody watching. All right, yeah. So, oh, fun times. This is a blast. All right, so back to the whatever the hell I was talking about. You notice they got this haloed light behind me. It's giving me a little halo, like I'm an angel. We get angel coming in. That's just light. Anyway, so here are some cards that I bought. I spent a fair amount of money on, and now these are the ones I'm selling. And like I said, it's an imperfect game. You needed a lot of rares and stuff to win it, and to actually have fun playing it. I mean, if you wanted to play an aliens deck, you could kind of do it, but we'll get into that when we get into the decks that I have, which will be happening probably today too. But this is one of those games that inspired me to create my own card game, and I'm wondering if I actually have any elements that I actually borrowed from this game. There's probably something in the DNA there somewhere, but here's a couple of. I got a bunch of Ripley's, which you'd think that she would be a big seller, but she's kind of she's not one of the big boys. But I do have I have some other stuff, and we're just gonna go quickly. Just gonna drop these down and then scoop them up. Just some. It was a good assortment of various things that people like. That this one here in particular, that's a good card. That's an actually really good card. It's not an expensive card. It's probably it's look, they had a different rarity scheme with these. People don't understand how they did it. It was very poorly correlated, and how they did the sheets when they were doing them is they would have some cards which were a 1 per sheet, and they would have other cards that were like a 2 per sheet, and then have other cards that were like a 4 per sheet, and that might there was 4 times that card would show up on each sheet, right? This was one of those that is actually fairly common for it, even though it's a rare card. It's still it's like they had rare 1, 2s, and 3s. If you know Star Wars CCG at all, rare ones, rare twos. It depended on how many times they showed up on the sheet. This one it was a little bit weird. The ones tended to be more like ultra rares, and they had a hard time finding them. And let's see if I got one right here. I got one. I do actually have one. Here's one of the. Here's one of the. That's one of the rare ones. It was harder to find, and they kind of strategically did it with some stuff. They didn't strategically do it with other stuff. There's some other stuff. They just really kind of blew the coupon because they have a lot of rares that don't need to be rares. And they got a lot of common cards that could probably have been rares instead. There's a lot of specialized stuff in this game, so you don't really need. I do not recommend going out looking for a full collection if you're ever interested in collecting this game, because it is a nightmare to collect it. Do not buy boxes, especially. You'll have to do singles. You will have to do singles. We're just going to bring this up again. But like I said, these are just some of the stuff that's going to be going up for sale. Now, here's a rare one that I actually have a couple of there, and those are going to be those are pricey a little bit. They have been. We just had somebody that dropped a bunch of them over the last year on eBay. Sold it in like a massive collection of this stuff, so the prices have kind of dropped down a little bit. Um, but now that he looks like he's completely spent on it. Looks like he might be. He's trying to get rid of the last ones that aren't selling very well on a big chunk. I'm not looking at that. That's kind of a. It might be something that if he had it, I would have to sit on it for maybe a year to two for it to get to recoup some of the prices back up. I mean, you can sell it for like $1 or $2 like that, but I'm not interested in that. Man, I need money. I need to subsidize my shit, so I sell it for as much as I can get on this stuff. So I mean, I'm gonna go back to the original pricing with some of this stuff. So and then we'll sit on it for 2 to 3 years, and then it'll start selling again at the normal price because somebody just flooded the market. They just completely just flooded the market, and I don't really have a problem with that. That's just the nature of the beast. I'm actually glad he did it. I picked up a lot of stuff I needed. It was a great time to buy. It was a buyer's market, and I took advantage of it. So I'm thankful for that kind of those little jumps because now it's going to be one of those things where now it has brought it down, but it's kind of works like the stock market, like crypto a little bit. It brings it down, but then if it doesn't zero out, it's got a good chance to go up higher than it was previous, and especially if everything else kind of moves in that direction, which it's hard to say. If we go to World War or something like that, it's not looking good, but anyway, I digress. I digress. No market talk. We're just talking about the cards. So I got a bunch of stuff, and it's cool stuff, and I like this game. I had a lot of fun playing this game, and you can actually have a decent amount of fun playing this game. You can. They've had a guy that's been making. He he makes new sets for it. There's a few people that make new sets for it, and then they release like the so you can download the images and then have them printed off and that kind of stuff. And then the old cards here, there's a couple resources where they have entire databases with it, where you can actually just go out and print to play or just print off proxies. I recommend doing that if you're interested in playing it. The game itself is getting expensive. It's not really on the. It's nothing like Pokemon, and it's nothing near like Magic or anything like that. For being how old it is, I think this came out in '97. Was its original year run, and then it ran to 1999 for the second expansion for Aliens, and then in the year 2000, I believe it was, they came up with I consider it technically the third expansion, which is the Terminator set, and we'll be going over that. The it was used it utilized a thing called the battleground system, and the battleground system was something that they were hoping would take off so they could use a whole bunch of different licensed properties, and they actually started doing pretty well. They had the Aliens, the Predator, and then they came out with the Terminator set, which had all the Terminator elements in it too. So you could fight aliens versus Terminators, and it works fairly decently. Uh, Most of the game is based on scenarios, and you can make your own scenarios up. Make this card's not allowed, that card's not allowed. You limit this to this many, that kind of thing. You can change everything. It was meant to be modular, which is a really cool element for the game. Back then, I do not know how that plays out now. I do not know, especially in the market where I did notice something. These modern CCGs, they've got a problem. They've got actually more than one problem, but the one major problem I see right now for modern CCGs is they have a redundancy issue. For instance, two of the bigger competitors right now, and I noticed this, they came out within a year of each other, was Disney's Lorcana and Star Wars Unlimited. Coincidentally, both Disney properties, done by separate companies. But I looked at it, I was looking at it, I was kind of curious about the Star Wars Unlimited because one of my mains back in the day was Star Wars, the collectible card game, the original from Decipher, which was the overbloated monstrosity that it became. It started off fairly overbloated, but it became even more overbloated. And it was a good game if you like board games. It's not a collectible card game. It shouldn't be. It's interesting, very role play element esque, very granular, very small details. This one falls into that category. It then that sort of thing doesn't play very well now. Now we have Lorcana and Star Wars Unlimited, and I noticed something about it. They're practically the same game. The gameplay wise, it's almost identical. Everything kind of works very similar. So if you know how to play one, you can learn how to play the other. And I understand why the companies do that, but at the same time, I kind of equate it to how we've dealt with music over the last 200 years. It's kind of the same element of degeneration, I guess you could call it, or devolution, is that we tend to go towards simpler instead of complex. As a species, we look for simple answers instead of complex answers. And this age of CCGs, it was all about complex answers. It was this literally was what 97. That's 4 years after Magic came out, which was the granddaddy. So I mean, this is birth pangs area here. I mean, it is what it is kind of area where we're going to test some stuff out. We're going to see what works. And this kind of experimentation that happened through the mid to late 90s to the early 2000s directly led to the collectible card games we have today. Not counting Magic and Pokemon, which have pretty much remained practically the same game since. I mean, there's elements that have changed in it. But if you knew how to play Magic then, you're probably going to know how to play Magic now. If you know how to play Pokemon then, you're probably going to know how to play Pokemon now. Very little innovation. I mean, they've tried some weird stuff. They did the stickers with Magic, which was just completely stupid. I mean, nobody does that. Nobody's putting stickers on their cards, man. You just spent money on this. They're hoping for a resave value down the road if it goes out. And then, of course, I mean, you got your we're falling into territory here we don't need to. Anyway, so I'm gonna be right back. All right, so I got a box of cards here we're bringing in. So this is the stuff that's some of the collection that I have. That's going to go up for sale, and I'll be reasonable with the prices for the most part. But all right, so I'm going to show the box here. That's the box. I went out. My goal was not to collect the set. I don't mind collecting sets, but for this game, like I said, there's a lot of redundant cards and they're kind of hard to find. So I just went out looking for decks. I have these decks and I optimize them to one specific scenario. And I have 6 decks now I am one card short of completing the whole thing. And then that's 25 years of work, waiting for the right cards to pop up, waiting for a good price, 25 years. And of course, there was a period of like maybe 10 years there where I just didn't give a shit. I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't paying any attention. So that doesn't count. We don't count that. But 25 years roughly of getting these decks put together. And we're going to start off with the one that I used to play the most on. This is my Marines deck. Now, how this game works is you had three different factions when it first came out. You had your Marines, you had your aliens, and then you had your Predators. And it was a cool little how do you call it? It's a cool little pairing of the three. They were all different and they had different strategies. I'm trying to remember what they call that. There's a gaming term for it, but I can't remember. It's not popping into my head at the moment. Maybe it'll pop in a few minutes. But anyway, you had these three different, and they had three completely different strategies. The Marines was all about firepower and working as a team. And technically, their decks were all about doing free action, free attacks. Free attacks was their bread and butter. You had the Predators. We'll get into that. So these guys are all about free attacks. And the more free attacks you can do, the better off you are, because everything else is tougher than you. You're going to go down in one hit from pretty much anything. So we're going to look at my starting lineup here. I had a couple rares. And then because this was made for a specific scenario, I am allowed to use multiple leaders. Normally you only have one leader in the deck, but this scenario is called Hostile Takeover. And the reason why I chose that one is because it's like a free fall. And you can use Aliens, Predator, and the Terminator and Resistance, which are the other two factions that came out with the Terminator set. You can play them all together. So I have 6 decks, all meant to play against each other to varying degrees. And like 2 of them will have a counter for another one, and then 2 of the others will have. I tried to do that. So it basically kind of designed it so it kind of worked like a board game. But I used dirty tricks also from the actual game that I remembered using. And we'll get to the dirty trick on the Marines deck here. We'll see how we're doing. If we can get to a second deck, that'd be great. But it's not guaranteed. So anyway. So this is my Marines starting lineup. And one of the rules for the scenario is you can start with cards from either of the sets. So normally you can't intermix the cards in your deck. You can't, there's like 2 different variations. I did the variation where you can't mix the cards between. So the Terminator cards cannot be mixed normally with the Aliens Predator cards, except for starting. And this is considering a starting outfit. So I can use a couple, which mostly will be locations, but sometimes goods and equipment. And we're going to separate these guys into their equipment. This guy is my sniper. So he's got a little sniper combo here, which gives him camouflage, a sniper rifle, and a silencer. And that makes him a little nasty. So I'm going to actually move that over because it looks like, let's do this. Just bring it out a little bit. Okay, there we go. So this is my sniper. And he's got the sniper rifle. And then he's got, so you can start with 1 piece of equipment per each Marine. So I get 5 pieces. So I gave 3 of them to him immediately. So it gets him working. And that's a abusive combo. And then we have a second abusive combo, which we stick on Hicks here, which is a field pack and a grenade launcher. All right. So if you know about this game, not a lot of people use the grenade launchers. I use the grenade launchers because I figured out an accidental combo with them, which is, we'll get into that. So with the Hostile Takeover scenario, I am allowed to bring more Marines into play at a barracks for just searching them like normal. If it's we'll get into that later a little bit. But so this is my starting squad right here. So I've got 2 abusive combos right off the bat. Makes him fairly lethal if I get the combos. For this guy doesn't need a combo. He just runs around shooting things and then he stays hidden because of that stupid silencer. And not only does he stay hidden, he can shoot from any of his hidden movement markers. Maybe we should do like a gameplay one of these days, like a rundown on the gameplay. I was actually thinking I got to test these out against each other. Maybe if I do like a little mini tournament where I play by myself because I'm a lonely bastard, and and we see which of these decks comes out on top out of the 6 decks that I have. And that way people will get an idea of how it plays. But anyway, you use these hidden movement markers, right? And it's one of the cool ways they dealt with stealth. So if he's stealthy, he's moving around and you can't see it. You can see where he's at generally in the locations. And the locations come in, and these are some of the locations I have. Those are my 2 starting locations. And then I've got a series of other locations. And the way it works is you put the locations down 1 per turn. And this is the location deck. And you put the locations down 1 per turn, and then you can move your guys from one location to the next. And so, and yeah, I did have, in case anybody's curious, we're going to put these guys back for right now. And we're going to focus on that 1 card. If anybody knows this game, you probably noticed the big boy right here. That's the Conestoga class. I won mine. All right. I didn't buy this for $400 on the internet. All right. I won this from the tournament the day of, on the release when this came out, when the rep was there. I won this one, and I didn't win because I took first place. Where is it? I didn't win the battle standard. I had to buy the battle standard. I tried to trade it from the guy that won it, but he wasn't ready to do it. For one thing, I was playing Marines, and he wanted. I mean, you don't give your enemy any more ammunition than need be. But I won my Conestoga. I also won. I think it was 2nd place for the Aliens Resurrection tournament, and I have the card in one of the decks. It's not in this one. It's in one of them. Somewhere in there, I think. It was the 2nd place. Oh no, it was. That's right. It was the sniper scope. Yeah, one of these. It was one of these silencers. I believe that was 2nd place because the 1st place was an aliens card. So that's how that went. But I won. This is the one I remember. I won that one. Winner. It happened one time. It wasn't the only. I mean, I won a couple tournaments. Not 2nd place, 3rd place. I did pretty good. I was all right. I was an okay player. Different card games. I played a lot of different card games. Anyway, I digress. So that's the starting lineup for the Marines deck. And then because you can bring other Marines in, how it works is you can search for stuff every turn at certain locations. And this one, it's the barracks. If you have the barracks, and I've got a little combo to bring the barracks out. If I want the barracks out, I have that. And then I also have 3 sweep the areas in here to bring the barracks out really quick because I want it next to my armory. I want it there. So the idea is if I can get it close to the armory, if I miss the armory, I have to put other stuff in front of it. I can have a second. There's a storage location or it's a Terminator location. Where is it? Oh, surplus depot, which pretty much is the same thing as an armory, but for this scenario, it acts as an exterior location. And the armory acts as an interior, so I can stick that as an exterior. It gets a little complicated. The scenarios really do determine how the game plays, but this one lets you search for Marine privates at the barracks. And I have 3 of those in the deck. And then if I have a Marine private in play, which I believe I do start with one. I start with one there. I can pay 2 combat pool to have him replaced with a main character that's also in my deck or in my hand, or is in my hand. It has to be in your hand. So I've got a couple other main characters in here that I will use to switch out my Marine privates for, which gives me a little bit of an advantage. A little bit. And also extra firepower, which is always good. Because like I said, these guys, you hit them, most likely they're going to die. They're soft and squishy, but they got a lot of guns. So the more guns you can have laying down fire, the better it is. You can set up little perimeters and stuff. And then I have an additional quartermaster in there, put him up there a little bit. Quartermaster. And he's a searchable character. So if I do absolutely need to run for my secondary objective, which the secondary objective for this is to save 7 of these guys, I can just simply save 1 and then send him back to the discard and then reshuffle. And it takes a long time, but it can happen. This is not meant to do secondary conditions. If it has to, it has that option to do it with that one guy. But normally it's just all about just going in and hunting down the enemy. That's the whole. You just hunt them down. I've also got to set up little ambush perimeters. I've got my 3 sentry guns. You're only allowed 3 now. They came up with rules for it. You can only have 3 now. And normally you can lay them down in a location, 1 per location. It used to be more than 1 per location, which is stupid. So now they limited it to 1 per location. I like that rule. I think that's fine. I do not like the ruling on you can't pick them up again and move them. That's stupid. So I let that, for my scenario, I allow that. You can pick them up and move them. There's 1 per location, a limit of 3 maximum, and you can pick it up and move it. It's not that bad. Don't freak out. All right, so, and then we come to actual weaponry. And I've got a second set here for one of those secondary characters. This second camo set. You'll notice it's not the Terminator one. The Terminator one works better. This one's cool, but it doesn't work like that. And it's the only thing the Marines have for giving somebody camouflage. So that's my second sniper. That's his little setup there. I have a third one just in case, also because it does damage. I usually give it to Hicks or somebody like that with a +1 so that he can actually shoot with standard out for free 2 locations away. So normally long range, if you're in this, say if you're in this location and this location's next to it, right? We're just saying we're not going to count the rules right now, but we're saying you're in this location and this location's next to it. You can normally, with a long range, you can shoot from here to here. So you stay here, you shoot to here, or back, vice versa. Now with this card, let's say there's a second location out, right? And we'll do it like this. It's not how it works at all. This isn't how this works, but we're just saying it does for the moment. But if you're here and you've got this, you can use the second option on it to shoot from here to here, which can be useful. And you can do that in any direction from here. So if there's another location like up here, if there's a location here, and then some of them do set up like that. You can go adjacent locations over and use the rifle to shoot in there. It's actually fairly useful. And since you can do it from cover, where you're not gonna, and you can use it and with the silencer, you can do it from any of your hidden movement markers. It's dumb. It's stupid. So you basically you keep your guy with squad and you send his hidden movement marker out, and then you shoot from the hidden movement marker. It is absolutely the stupidest thing, but that's one of the dirty tricks in this deck. Like I said, I kept the dirty tricks, but what I did was I put dirty tricks in all of them, the exception of aliens. So there's not a lot you can do for dirty tricks on that. There's a couple things, but I took it out because the dirty trick you can do with aliens is it's too abusive. It's too brutal, and it kills the entire game. It just kills it. You literally just cut yourself off from everybody. If they want to get close to you, they take damage. It's a hull breach deck, and you can do it from turn whatever. Whenever you get the hull breach, they draw so many cards for the aliens. They're eventually going to get it maybe turn 5 or 6, and then nobody ever gets to the hive, and they just keep building, and they can get out of the hive and come and kill you whenever they want to. It's stupid, and so I took that dirty trick out, and we just made a very, very effective aliens deck that uses kind of a dirty trick, but not really. It's fully within the rules. We'll just say that much. All right, so that was that. I have the extra that, and then I've got a sentry gun control, because if you're going to use sentry guns, you're going to want one of these on one of the scope rifles. Usually I stick this one on the one scope rifle that isn't being used all the time, or I'll stick it on the main one so that he can sit back and use that. 2 locations of the owner. Yeah, that's probably one you want to. I probably want to stick that on the ring because you have to declare where it is, and then he reveals where it. And it does. You can't use it with the hidden movement token. In other words, so that's. I think that maybe why I have the third scope rifle in there. I was thinking about it. That's what I would use it for right now. We've got a battle standard, which just gives everybody +1 in that location. Is it that location? Yes, at its location. Okay, and then it took a long time. This was one of the harder cards to get in the quantities that I got it in. But there aren't going to be very many decks that have this many field packs in it. That took a long time. That took a long time to find all of these. I had this many. These were the ones I came with originally, and then I have one more in my starter set. So the other 6 do not come up that often for sale. And when they do, they tend to fly away real quick because everybody wants at least this many of these. And it was an uncommon, technically a rare. It was one of those like 1 or 2 per sheets for the uncommon sheet, which made it practically a rare. And it should have been in the starter decks because instead you got this stupid garrison pack, which doesn't help you at all. It gives you a weapon that doesn't hurt anything, and it gives you armor that doesn't save you. This one, at least the 3 speed and the 3 or above powers, you can get hit once most of the time, depending on what it is, and survive for a little bit. So the field packs, those took a while to get that quantity. You'll notice there's a lot of equipment in this deck. So the armory is where I start with. I just kind of load everybody up, and then I start spreading everybody out. We get the barracks out. I move over to the barracks, and then I start pulling Marine privates in, and then I start training Marine privates into main characters. We've got some additional equipment that just does some stuff. The extra ammo is for the grenade launcher. So let's go over the grenade launcher. People don't use the grenade launcher. And I don't know why. If they see this video, they might change their mind if anybody actually plays this game and sees that I use a grenade launcher. They're like, what are you doing with the grenade launcher, man? Those things are so ineffective. Well, let me tell you what I do with the grenade launcher. I do a little swoopy swappy thing here with these 2 cards. This is Saturation Fire. And where's my other bad boy? There it is. And this is Headshot. This is why I use the grenade launcher for certain things. You've got a group of guys, your enemies in one spot, right? Even if it's 1 or like two or more, grenade launcher attacks all characters at a location for 8 damage. And what that means is that when you roll the die goes against their defenses for each of their characters at that location. Hits everybody, including yourself if you're in that location. So you can do a kamikaze mission if you need to. It is long ranged, so you can shoot one over, which is good. But these 2 cards do Saturation Fire. After declaring an attack, additional Marines who can target the defender may rotate to help. The attacker gains +1 to hit for each helper, +2 if the helper has tactics. The other attacker runs out of ammo. You can get a +8 off the first turn with my starting crew. Oh, actually, it's probably more +7 right now with just the starting crew. +7 is insane. That's +7. That means that you need to hit, let's say, something with the highest defense that can possibly exist in the game is, I believe, an 8 in a Predator, which means that you need to roll you roll a d6, and then you have to have +3 in order to hit with a d6 on a Predator with an 8. +8 means that you hit anything that has 14 defense. Is that it right? Did I do that right? 8? Okay, 13 defense. Anything with 13 defense, which is really hard to get to. It's really hard to get to. Even with cards, you're going to have a hard time getting that. Until you hit the Terminators. Terminators can do that. Yeah, Terminators are stupid. So saturation fire lets you pump it up. The more guys you can rotate to help out. And then we've got our little buddy here, which is called headshot. Play before the die roll. You'll love this. If roll to hit exceeds the defense by 1, rotate the defender. By 3, +2 damage, and rotate for 2 turns. By 5, defender is killed. Costs 2. Costs 2. So headshot. Yeah. Makes this thing into a room clear. You clear rooms with this. We'll move it over here so you can see it. You clear rooms with the grenade launcher. Say they got 5 guys sitting in their room and you're like 1 away, or even if you're in the same room, you just shoot the grenade launcher at them, drop these 2 cards. You got a +7. Actually, no, you wouldn't want to do that one with that one because you'd have to be in the same location. So you'd want to be 1 room away. So if you get the situation 1 room away, there are overwatches in here to make sure that helps out a little bit. So you're 1 room away. If they can target them, you rotate everybody to help out. There's also rapid fires in this deck, which will help you do that too. But you're going to clear the whole room. You're going to clear the whole room. Just boom, 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 boom. Normal attack during the combat round from one spot away if they're sitting in the same spot. All you have to do is hit +5. And everybody dies instantly. It's dumb. I tried that once back when we were playing. They immediately outlawed it. But for this, I put it in. I put it in. They didn't want me to do that ever again. It was too vicious. I was taking entire squads out. It was awful. All right, so that's what that works. That's the grenade launcher. Then we've got our superior analysis. We're gaining. So if I use, for instance, a rapid fire, which I've got 3 rapid fires in here. Use the rapid fire for the superior analysis. You get 1 combat pool for each attack that you witness that turn, and that counts for anybody both sides. So you're probably going to get at least 5 combat pool for a rapid fire with the superior analysis. It is unique, so you can only have 1 in your deck. We've got 3 2x2 formations for making more combat pool. We've got our 3 sweep the areas for bringing out the barracks. We've got 3 crossfires for if I'm using a rapid fire, I'm going to want to hit. These ones will help you they'll give you a little bit extra +2 if they have tactics +1. For 2 or more characters in the same location that are attacking. So it's just a general plus. We got our 3 overwatches, which work well in all scenarios. And then we've got our barracks, and that's the Marines deck. And that's how that works. And that took a long time to get that thing rolling, man. And I finally have everything where I need it in this deck. I don't feel like I need to change anything more. I think that's it. So that's the Marines. And the dirty trick being that stupid grenade launcher and the 2 snipers running around, just massacring everything in sight, and not having 0 accountability. It's also a great suicide option that if you feel like you might be on the losing end of things and you feel like it's time to just make this end, you can go into there and it targets you and them at the same time. You turn that loss into a draw. Potentially, you can turn that loss into a draw. All right, so that's the Marines. I'm just going to put that back in here. I'm trying to figure a format out to show off my game. I'm trying to figure it out. So we're kind of warming up. That's what this is about also, because I didn't want to paint today. But I'm trying to figure a format out, and I might do just kind of what I'm doing with this, not showing off decks, but because I only have 100 cards made that are ready to go. They don't have the art for it. It's the only thing that's lacking for it. So I'm thinking maybe if I get used to talking about card games like this, I can talk about my own. And also, I'm working the courage up to kind of show it off because it's flawed. It's flawed. I kind of went the old. I wanted a '90s card game aesthetic for it. I wanted it to feel like it. I wanted it to look like it, and I wanted it to play like it. At the end of the day, with some additional new kind of baubles added onto the format that nobody uses. And I was also trying to figure out, but it is a life decking game, and I was trying to figure a solution to life decking. How do you make life decking work? And I think I might have found one that mitigates it a little bit. But anyway, we'll talk about that when we talk about the actual card game. Hopefully, soon. I want to do it soon. All right, so the next deck I'm going to go over here. And this is my Predator deck. And yes, this uses the dirty trick. All of these decks have a dirty trick. They all have a dirty trick. And they're all timed out so that by turn 9, the dirty trick is in full effect. So and all of them except for this one doesn't do turn 9. This one does about turn 6. And there's a reason for that. If I go with a single Predator, you're doing it about turn 4 to turn 6. Somewhere in there, you're rolling with one guy. So you're very, 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 very vulnerable. He does have all the baubles and tricks. But if you want to spread it out from between 7 to 8, turn 7 to 8-ish, you'll use a different scenario. And that would be, instead of this guy, you're going to use these two guys together and make it a pack. And there's 2 different rules for pack Predator versus solo Predator. Pack Predators, they only make honor by capturing, and they can only capture if they're lethal and veterans. And you have to do a -2 to hit for a capture, and it has to be damage enough to kill the opponent. But when you capture, instead of killing them, you stick their character card underneath, and then you take them and you evacuate them like you would at a Predator shuttle or a Predator ship. And then you get honor for, depending on what it is, for a character with equipment on it. The character itself usually is worth less than the equipment unless it's an alien or a big alien, especially like a warrior queen or something like that, which is like 14. I think it's like 14. There's an easy honor system that I'd have to pull up the scenario that gives you the easy tracking. I think it's their power, and then each equipment's like +4 for honor. I think that's how it works. Something like that. It's either their speed or their power. It's one of those. And then, and so it just makes it easier to track the honor. So these guys gain honor one way, and if you're doing the solo, you're gaining honor a second way. There's a third option that I stuck in here, which is kind of like a hybrid of the two. Which this is a third if you wanted to do. This one is probably still around that 7 to 8 turns. It's a little faster than others. You got 3 characters, but the downside with this one here is, again, it's a pack. It's the card draw. It's the card draw is what it comes down to. These guys draw 5 cards during the draw phase. This group draws 5 cards during the draw phase. And solo, with the Honored Elder, draws 8. It draws 8. So I prefer the solo right now, just because it's so quick. But, I mean, I put these other options in case I felt like I wanted to change it. So the Honored Elder is cool. He gains double the combat pool, but your hand size is -1. So normally with a guy, he would be -9. It would be +9 hand size, but he loses 1. So he is legitimately an 8. It has to deal with how much honor, and then there's like a subtraction that you do off of it. I think it was like so all the 8 and 8, 16, 17 honor, and then you subtract his honor, and it works the same way for each. So 17 minus 14. You see where I'm going? That's why we choose him. Also, you get the double combat pool. Double combat pool is cool. You start off with 8, which is a lot. You need a lot for the deck. So those are my starting guys. They don't start with equipment unless it's a pack. If it's a pack, they start with equipment. I believe that's how it works. No, he does start with equipment if it's solo. Pack doesn't start with equipment. I think that's how it works. If it is the solo, I usually start him off with a camouflage suit and a throwing disc. I think that's what I came to. Yeah, I think that's what the final. And then there's other stuff in here. Or you can just start off without, and he just has to get 8 honor, and then you can modify your deck that way. It doesn't really matter because you're going to get something right off the bat. You're going to be able to search your stuff out real quick. We start with a Predator mothership and a docking bay as our 2 starting locations. And then this one has a defensive perimeter or defensive position. I think the Marine does also. I have 3 of those, and there's one for the Marines, one for the Predator, and then one for my rogues. And that just gives you an additional defense in different areas, like +1 defense for covered areas. In confined, you can only be attacked by 1 character each turn. In open locations, you get a -1 defense. There's not a lot of open locations, so that's how that starting package works. We can stick those over there, and then the regular locations I have are a little funky. Alleyway lets you connect real quick. There's an extra airlock because I've got more ships. I have a Predator ship. And then we do our main quarters. Actually, I'm going to put these together. Everything that's central connects to the main quarter. So if this is the lineup you have, it would be vertical like this, but we'll say it's vertical. But if this is the lineup you have, I can move from the operations to the main corridor for 1 movement, and then any of the other directions. So it gives you some options, especially if, like, say, how it would be set up is, so you start off with say, like, docking bay and a Predator mothership. Now I do my ships differently than they say in the books. I just find it worked better this way because they connect to entry locations. Technically, entry locations are an exterior for this scenario. So you got your entry location right here. You got your Predator ship or whatever ship it is right here. Then any exterior locations would go next to it like this. And then interior locations would go above either of these 2 exterior locations like this. So it's outside, inside, and then you can line them up like this. So what you would do, and then I've got another ship here, and that would have to connect to an entry. So I have another airlock, and then you could put the other ship right there. And then you could have, say, the corridor right here, and then you could have the hive one over here. You could move from, say, from this airlock, right, to this, and they can move from here to here, to this one here, or to this one here, any of these central locations. So you would be able to hop between the 3. And the reason for that is it gives you this kind of a circular pattern that you can run through. And it just makes him the owner of his territory for the most part. And then we've got a machine shop in here. In case he gets something damaged, he can go get it fixed. And then Rubble Hills is the one connecting location that all decks have. Rubble Hills for the Terminator, or for the Hostile Takeover, Rubble Hills. Rubble Hills is your connective. So that's the one. It worked like Operations did for the main game and for some of the other scenarios, most of the other scenarios. But Rubble Hills is the one for this game, or this scenario. So that's that for the locations. Now, for the deck, we've got 3 copies of Berserk. And the whole deck is about getting all 3 copies of these Berserks onto your Honored Elder. And the reason is because 1 copy will half the cost of a combat pool card. The second copy halves the half. The third copy halves the half. So if, for instance, I want to use a Juggernaut, which says roll a die, pay that much combat pool, then add or subtract 1 from any other die roll. You may repeat as long as you can pay every required combat pool cost. So if he has 1 berserk on him and I roll a 6, he has to pay 3, right? To use the power off of Juggernaut, which means he takes 3 damage, which he's only got 7 power, so it's going to hurt him fairly substantially to do that. It's a possibility, it's an option, you can do that. It's not recommended. 2 berserks on him, and he rolls a 6 for Juggernaut, which is the highest you can roll for it, by the way. That means it's a 3, and then 3 is in a half of 3 becomes a 1.5, which it says here, it rounds down, which means it's 1. So he would, if he rolls a 6, he would have to pay a 1 for use of the Juggernaut. If he has a third one on, Juggernaut's free no matter what you roll, and you can use it infinitely to add to your die rolls. So he just rolled 1,000,000. This is the dirtiest of dirty tricks, all right? But you're one guy, so anything can kill you real fast. So I gave him one of the nastiest. And believe it or not, this is actually the cheaper of the decks, too. We'll get to the Aliens deck next, actually, probably after this one. But yeah, the Aliens deck is the most expensive. I think it's second most now. My Marines deck finally took it. All of that is because of one card, though, and that's the one we went over. Yeah. So I have 3 copies of Juggernaut in this deck that does that. We also had, just for funsies, I added 3 copies of Combat Mastery so that he gets these for free too, and he gets a full benefit for those, which is a +2 is speed and power. These are cumulative for speed and power. He does only get a +2 to hit, though. I refer back to Juggernaut. Which makes him 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He's a 6/9, just standard. He's got 9 power. He's got 6 speed. That means if you want to hit him, you have to roll over a 6. You have to at least have a +1 and roll a 6 to hit him. Just standard. Everybody says, "Oh, he's so slow. He's not one of the 5-speed ones." I'm like, yeah. The only thing I'm missing is adaptable, which doesn't really hurt this deck that much because he's still drawing 8 cards every turn. All right. So that's how that portion of the stupid works. All right. He gets infinite hit, and then he also gets a bunch of that stuff there too, which is stupid. So that's the stupid of that part. Now we have more stupid. It gets even worse. I mean, it's not terribly worse, but we also have some. This changes everything, and this is also a combat pool. So he would have, if he's got 1 on, it halves it down to 1. If he's got 2 on, it's free. So if he has 2 berserks on, he can use these for free. And this one is player shuffles his hand into his deck and redraws a new hand. It's all about putting berserks on him. You get this card, you pay for it at first. When he doesn't have a berserk on it, you pay the 3. You have 8 to start with. And then you reshuffle your hand into your deck and draw a new hand. 8 cards. And maybe you get a berserk. Maybe you get another one of these. Do it again. Do it again. Because we're not done yet. All right. Second chance. Again, 3. Same thing. 2 of them is free. 1 berserk, it costs 1. Take a card from your discard pile and add it to your hand. Oh shoot, I just played one of my this changes everything, and I shuffled my hand back into my deck and drew 8 cards. Oh no, I'm gonna pick that card out of my discard pile, and then I'm gonna do it again. It's not the only thing this card works with, by the way. There's a few things this works with. This is one of the things it works with. Prepare yourself. I have 3 copies of that also. This is player immediately refills his hand to its current size. Costs 1. That means if he has 1 berserk, it's free. Okay. Now we get to some other stuff. Somebody wake up Hicks. Again, if he has one Berserk, it's free. Ready one character, costs one. This is the one card that I need still to finish this off because the card I have in its place right now is called Lay of the Land. And I find it's really hard to work with this deck. It's cool, but you have to move through 5 different locations. Starting off, he's only got a 4, so I have to wait for one card that gives him a +1 to speed so he can actually move to 5 locations to even put this card into play. He can do it, but it's clunky. And I'd rather have somebody wake up Hicks. And this is one of those rare ones that's almost impossible to find. It's like hen's teeth. Nobody sells these. People keep these. So that's one of the cards. We're not done yet. We have dwindling options ×3. Dwindling options: for every one you pay, your opponent must discard one random card. He waits to the next draw round to refill his hands. With Berserk, that's halved and then rounded down. You play one of these with one Berserk on him. Oh, their cards have just gone. Infinite cards. I don't care how many. All their cards are gone. Goodbye. You have to ditch them. You do it right before combat. Oh no. You were going to do a combo and did something. You were going to do something nasty. You do it at the beginning of the turn. You do it after the draw round. You do that. That's when you play the dwindling options. Then they hate you. And then they hate your guts. This deck is vicious. It's stupid and evil. But it's one guy that you can still kill with other strategies in this game that I will show you. One of those was the Marine deck with the massive amount to hit. You can kill him. You can kill him. All right, so we got 3 copies of Overwatch. Can't even see it anymore. It's getting glare. There's the Overwatch. And that just lets you attack out a turn. You can do it during the movement round. We got 3 copies of Meditation for, again, combat pool, because he needs a lot of combat pool. And then for this one, I've got Found Him. Play at the start of movement. All players find the top location of their decks and play them immediately. Shuffle the decks. So it gives them a bonus if they've got a location in their deck. But there's like 2 decks that I have in here that do that. This and the Marines, I think, are the only ones I have that have. No. One of the Resistance deck also has locations in its deck. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because you're going to be coming out ahead versus theirs because you're using 3 copies of access space in triplicate here. And one of them comes out and you've just connected to them. So you connect. One of the points of this game is that there's this period of growth. And then connectivity happens. And then once connectivity happens, combat happens. Inevitably. This deck's about doing it quick. So you get in there fast, you start shooting and killing stuff. You're only shooting 1 a turn unless you have somebody wake up Hicks and maybe you get 2 a turn. If you use those other cards, where is he? Where's the bad boy? Yeah, second chance, you can keep using those somebody wake up Hickses. You effectively have 6 of them in your, or at this point, he's effectively got 5 of them in his deck. And every time you reshuffle. You lose 1 card from draw every time you reshuffle, but he's still drawing 8 cards. Three times he reshuffles and he's normal. Is it the normal card draw? Fun is that? It's not fun. We've got some combat. We've got some equipment that we put in here, and some of this is backup stuff in case stuff fails, and the other stuff is in case I bring in either of the other 2 predators with it. If I'm doing packs, I have a full setup. Everybody gets a weapon. Everybody gets a thing. So camouflage suit goes on one guy. Throwing disc goes on one guy. Then we get camouflage suit and a plasma caster on one guy, and then we've got a hunting kit on one guy, and then somebody gets the laser sight. So there's enough to do stuff. The hunting kit is just there for the medic. If I do the third, if I'm doing the second, this one just goes over to one of these guys like this. Probably this one. If there's only 2, if I've got 2 predators in play, I'm going to be doing this scenario. That's how that'll work. It'll look like this. That one and that one. Or that specifically. So you can see that. It's going to be the Huntmaster is going to get the throwing disc and the camouflage suit and the hunting kit because he's going to be doing close combat with the throwing disc. And then High Educator. Oh, yes, throwing disc. Again, Juggernaut. Let's go back to Juggernaut. Let's get rid of these guys. So most of that stuff's fairly set forward. You know, Plasma Caster does 15 damage. It's a long range weapon. It's standard. You get +1 for the laser sight. The camouflage suit gives you a lot of hidden movement tokens. Now, for the throwing disc works like this. Total damage of power +2, roll to hit minus defense. Oh, I'm sorry. Total damage of power +2 plus roll to hit minus defense. If the attack is not a hit, the disc is dropped at that location. All right. Juggernaut gives you infinite pluses to hit. Total damage of power +2, 7, 8, 9, plus roll to hit minus defense. Let's get something with some defense to show you how this works. Where's my thing with some defense? Yes. I know exactly what to bring out. This is a Terminator. He has a 9 power and a 4 speed. All right. His defense is technically 4. All right. So you would have throwing disc, which would be a total damage of power +2, 7, 8, 9, plus roll to hit, infinity. I'm going to bring that into the camera. Infinity minus 4. It's an instant kill. Throwing disc is an instant kill if he's got 3 berserks on him and he rolls with the fucking Juggernaut. He doesn't even need the Juggernaut at 3 berserks. He can take that damage and still instant kill you. Well, he's still going to take a lot of damage. But again, it's one of those like, you got to go. You go in style if that's where you're at. But hopefully you got 3 berserks on him and you don't have to worry about that. Because every time you put an add +1 to it, you have to roll the die every single time. So if he wants to add 1 to it, he rolls the die. So he gets a 6. Oh no, he's got to take damage maybe for that. Or if he's got 3 berserks on him, he takes no damage. If he's got 2 berserks on him, he takes 1 damage because it costs 1. Right? So if he rolls a 6 and he rolls a 4, 4 in half and half, 4 becomes a 2, 2 becomes a 1. He still gets to take 1. If he rolls a 2, he has to pay 2. So 2 and a half becomes a 1. 1 and a half becomes a 0. So 1 to 2, if you roll 1 to 2, you're free. And everything else is going to be 1. That's with 2 berserks on him. So, I mean, it's definitely manageable. If you have all 3 berserks on it, it's just all free. Everything's free. It's infinity. It's infinity damage. It's infinity damage. And infinity hit. So it's an instant hit, instant kill. Throwing disc. Yep. We did it. We broke it. But it is still one guy who, if you get hit at pretty much anything in this game, everything changes. So I gave him the most powerful deck, but he's also the squishiest. Squishy. All right, so that was my Predator deck. And I can go a little over today. We'll keep going. We're gonna do the Aliens deck. We're gonna do the original 3, and then the next one I do, if I feel like painting tomorrow, I'll paint. But if I do another one of these, we'll do the other 3, which will be the Rogues, the Terminators, Skynet, and the Resistance. And those are interesting. Those are different. You'll notice that some of these decks are a little bit bigger. My Marines deck is 50 cards. The Predator deck is 40 cards. It's at the minimum. And it's actually 43 cards, I think, 42 cards, because if I swap 2 of them out, I can use as starting pieces of equipment. And then the Terminator and the Resistance are also 50 cards, but there's a reason for that. I tried to bring them down to 40, and it made them too fast. So I added 10 cards in to slow them down. And it's kind of the same reason I did it with the Marines too, but kind of more the Marines was I just wanted more stuff in there. I wanted more stuff to be able to do things. But I could technically trim it down. It makes them a little quicker. So I noticed I wanted to balance it where by turn 9, by the time the last location came into play, they were rolling. So up to turn 9, you can still get them. So everybody has the same timing. I just need to find out who's best, except for that Predator deck, which moves substantially quicker. But it has to, because it's one guy. If you make it to turn 9 with the Predator, you've lost. You have to do it in the first 6 turns. You really do. You have to do something in the first 6 turns. Whether you're attacking something and taking something out, you have to be connected. Otherwise, they're such a weak spot for what they're doing. And they used to be the strongest, believe it or not, because they moved last. But now the aliens move last. So it used to be Marines, Aliens, Predator. Now it's Marines, Predator, Alien. Well, it's actually more complicated than that because there's stuff that moves before, and the aliens actually have something that moves after. I think it's the cloned ones move last now. But here is my relatively basic aliens deck. 40 cards, starting stuff, made for the specific hostile takeover scenario. And I just realized that this has been shuffled, so we're gonna unshuffle it real quick here. Hope everybody doesn't mind. But it's if you've played this before, you know how an aliens deck moves. It's all about making more critters, and then attacking people with your critters. Jeez, I should have gone through this, but alien splash. There it is. Alien spray. There's a sleeper. Cocoon victim. Sugar. Everybody wants to make an aliens deck in this game, and it is one of the easier decks to make if you can find the cards. It is, however, one of the more expensive decks because everybody wants an aliens deck. Go figure. People want something. Supply and demand, man. That's how this rolls. All right, so I'm almost done here. Okay, thankfully it's only 40 cards. You just need to get those guys out of the way. There's that. That's single. Warrior. Those 3. All right. Well, let's get these out of here. There are those. And then we've got. This is very vanilla. There's nothing really terribly tragic in here. It's just a quickly moving aliens deck. So we've got all the stuff that you'd want to see in an aliens deck. You've also got a lot of stuff that you'd expect to see in something that's like an aliens deck. All right, so the way aliens work, just gonna get these guys separated into 3 different stacks here. We're gonna have our critters, our victims, and our actions. All right, let's move it over a little bit. Can I move that back down? 1 second. All right, so aliens is simple. Okay, we're just gonna move these guys up here. You start off with the queen. You start off with some warriors. And in my case, I start off with a facehugger. The reason I do the facehugger, you can use it. I actually have a chest burster in here if I wanted to swap it out. Chestburster is kind of cool, I guess. He works better for if you're bringing in some of the hybrid critters, like the pet hybrid or the Royal Guard. I don't have those in this deck. This is just basic vanilla aliens. So it's Alien Warriors. I've got 3 copies out on the outside. I got 3 copies in the deck. Chestbursters, I have no copies in the deck. I have 1 copy in case I wanted to start with one, which I don't, because the Facehugger does about the same thing that I need it to do. If it was a Chestburster, the Chestburster I could put tokens on and have him run around with the tokens, and the tokens don't really do that much for the Chestburster. You want to put the tokens on the Alien Warriors when they mature. So we've got our starting locations. I'll just put these the way they're supposed to go. All right. Let's see if we can see that. It's a lot. You need a lot of table space for this game. It's one of the downsides. Okay, we're gonna pretend these are all vertical because they're not fitting into the screen. They're not even fitting in the screen this way. But we start with a hived airlock. We go to an ambush point. We go to a hatchery. Oh, there we go. I'm just double checking. I want to make sure I'm still connected here. Okay, let's go to the live. Bring me the live. Bring me the live. Trimble still working? All right, there we go. We're back on. All right, sorry about that. I dropped connection for a second. Okay, we're back. I don't even know how long it went out for, but we're back now. Camera still working? Yeah, camera's still working. Okay, so where was I? We have a waste tank, 5, which gives us a second breeding chamber. And you can put it anywhere that's next to a hive out there into play. Yes, that's technically legal. You can do that. It doesn't really do much. It gives you a little backup area in case they start coming for one and they do a ravage chamber on it. You get a little backup. You go, oh, we're just going to move over to this one instead. Oh, no. We've got a vantage point. That one's for gaining combat pool. And then I've got hive locations. We've got a hive corridor, hived engineering, hive processor, hive shop. Those are just your basic hive locations you can move to and fro from whatever, doing the thing, doing your aliens hive movement. Then I've got a bone fields to slow people down. And then Rubble Hills is, of course, your connective location. And everybody's got one of these in their deck. Everybody has a Rubble Hills. Now, the broken combo that you would want to use, there is a location that's hived that is damaged. Where did that other stack of cards go? Because I have the card. I have the card in here that will be for sale. I have an extra of it. And I purposely do not keep more than one of these. So technically, they've been limited to 1 per deck. So if you have one, they're technically unique now. So you can only have 1. You used to be able to have 3 of these little bastards in your deck, and they were stupid. They were really, really bad. So you play a hull breach on a damaged location. Permanent. Cause 4 points of environmental damage to anyone at or moving through this location. You put it in the one place and your breeding chamber's completed. Completely cut off from anybody coming in. They have to take 4 points of unmitigatable damage. Environmental damage goes through armor, by the way. So I decided against adding 2 cards in. One location with damage on it already that's hived, and a hull breach in favor of something more vanilla. Because I found that it was too stupid. Most of these decks, there's like 1 deck that can actually get through it. And that's because it cancels cards inadvertently, because it's supposed to cancel other cards that it does, but it would technically work for this. The rest of the decks would have no recourse against it. Actually, no. I have another deck that would be able to bypass it, but they don't do combat, so they wouldn't have any reason to bypass it. So, so we don't count them because they don't do combat. They're there to just do stuff, and we'll go through them the next time I do this. All right, so let's go through some of the stuff here. Let's go through the critters. I've got a warrior queen, which she goes with the egg sac detachment. So basically, I can, if she takes damage, my regular queen takes damage. We'll get her out. If I have a regular queen in play, right? She's stationary. She can't move. She's got a 0 speed. We'll put that on the camera. 0 speed, 7 power, right? So she can attack stuff in the location she's at, but she can't move anywhere because she's got the 0 speed, right? So, and there's not really any way to get her to go faster because she says she can never move right there on the card. Can never move, and she does power plus 3 damage, right? Now, if she takes any damage, she could die, or you can immediately go through your deck and find a warrior queen and place her with the warrior queen, which gets rid of all the damage right off the bat. So that's one of the reasons to keep it in there. But if you use egg sac detachment, you don't have to worry about getting damaged. You can just use an egg sac detachment. If you've got the warrior queen in your hand, you can bring her out and exchange her like that. It works the same way. Either way is good. It's got both options. So that's the warrior queen. All right. We'll go back here. Then we've got 3 alien warriors. That's just to bring out more reinforcements. But I also have 3 face huggers out. Because one of the things you can do with face huggers is not only they're pretty, they're okay for attacking things, but you can find face huggers with other face huggers. You can also find these guys too with face huggers too. Any of your supporting characters that you're going to be using for food. So you can find those guys with face huggers also. But cool thing about face huggers, during the mature aliens phase, say if you got 3 face huggers at a location like this, you can discard 2 of these and put 2 tokens on this guy, which gives him a +2 to hit. So it gets rid of that -2 to hit. So if you've got 3 face huggers at one location, you can get him a +0 to hit. If you have one more face hugger there, and every time you bring a face hugger out, you can keep adding tokens onto him. You only really need 1 at that location, so he can find something every turn. Maybe 2, but you can always put the tokens on. So I keep extra face huggers here. I wanted to start off with more face huggers, but it is not viable. I've tried it. I think this works the best. We have 3 alien warriors. Starts off with those. You also have 3 in the deck. These are the 3 in the deck. That means you can bring more into play. You can have a total of 6 out and play at the same time. So it just gives you some critters to have running around, doing stuff. And doing stuff is what you want to have these guys doing. They eventually they're gonna spread out and start hiving things, and you need 4 at least tokens or 4 individual aliens to hive one location. So you could have one guy that has 3 tokens, one alien with 3 tokens on it, that counts as 4. That's one guy hiving a location. And you're just going to go throughout and hive everything. It's not really about killing things, but you can. You're going to have one big alien warrior running around, usually 7 or 8 tokens on him, which is pretty nasty. And we'll get to some of the nasty stuff you can do with that. We've got your standard 3 cocoon victims, which is probably the most expensive card outside of the promos in the game right now. We also have 3 sleepers, which I have been contemplating maybe not doing the sleepers, but it does kind of keep it in the slow area, and it doesn't really speed it up that much not having it, because the other option I would have would be to add 1 more Purvis, making 3 Purvises instead of 2, and 1 more Dr. Gettleman, making 3 Dr. Gettleman. The problem with these guys, though, is you can only have 1 copy of him out at a time. So if you have him out, right? And then you've got another one in your hand. This guy has to be killed. You have to attack him. You have to capture him, and then he has to mature before you can put the second one out. So I think this works okay because you don't have that same problem happening with the cocoon victims or the sleepers. You can just put those guys out. So it's a good balance. Also, it's not such a bad thing to have Dr. Gettman out before the Marines players do it if you're playing in a normal situation. This one, the Marines deck doesn't have Dr. Gettman, so it doesn't matter. All right, so we've got a natural selection, which is standard for Aliens deck, and that gives you one combat pool for every character that your aliens capture or kill. Exact detachment, we have that. We've got 3 copies of Alien Birth, which lets you speed things up a little bit for capturing characters. Where there's 1, which doubles the amount from 1 captured character, you get 2 chest bursters off of the 1. Bad day for that guy. We got Superior Species, which adds to your resistance to your guys with tokens if you got an alien with token. Or even if you have, because check it out, man. Look at this. Look at that. Do you see it? Can you read it? He's also an alien. So that works with him too. Weird. I don't know if I'd want to use that on him, but you can use it on him, technically. Then we've got other alien-centric cards. I've got 3 copies of Acid Spray and 3 copies of Acid Splash. And those are just, you stick those in because you're gonna get it. If you get attacked, you could probably replace him with something. I would wonder what I would want to replace him with though. Having a full stack of those in your hands waiting can kill off an entire squad if you've got 3 of each of those, and you're going to have a large hand size because he's every alien warrior at the queen's location, regardless of whether it's a warrior queen or not, because the warrior queen can move everywhere. The stationary queen, you have to keep them in one spot, but every one you have there at the same location, including tokens, adds to your hand size. So if you've got 5 tokens on one alien warrior with the queen, you're getting an additional 6 cards on top of the 4 plus 2, so you're getting 12 cards at that point in the turn. So instead, I kind of went a little bit different. I went with a malfunction, and it was a bad call combo, and that basically kills weapons on opponents' characters. And there's a lot of stuff with guns, so that's kind of where I aimed with the aliens deck. Like I said, it's a basic aliens deck. You could probably, all I would need to do to switch this over to a regular scenario, any regular scenario, unless it's one of the starter deck scenarios, is just simply change out my starting posse and change out my starting locations a little bit. But otherwise, it works perfectly fine. I wouldn't get the +2 for the Terminator card that I use for my starting, but so what? It's aliens. They all work the same. It does one thing, and it does it pretty well. I mean, that was one of the problems with the game, is that if you wanted to have something that moved well oiled, I mean, the starter deck for aliens was pretty bad. It was not good. You wouldn't need much to beat it, but I mean, it did do the same thing. It just did it a lot slower. You had to get the big cards in order to get the deck to work right. Which is why I say it should have been, it would have probably done fairly well as an LCG. Everybody gets the same cards at the start, but at the same time, LCG doesn't really, they don't have the same lifespan, do they? I mean, people get bored of them pretty quick, and then they move on. They go to the next one. I've noticed that. I was doing the new Toontown for a long time, just keeping up with it. And it's still going, but it's hanging on by the skin of its teeth. And it's sad to see it. I thought it's a good system. I love the original game. I think they should have kept it as brutal and as cutthroat as the first game was. The original 90s 2000 version of Doomtown. It's still my number 1 game. I mean, that's my all-time favorite. It's never gonna be this deck. I mean, this was an obsession that honestly, I'm glad it's almost over. But this is a good game. I mean, it's a fun game that has, what this game does well? It does atmosphere really, really well. Where tension builds, tension builds, and then you run around scared for your life for the rest of the game if you're a Marine or any of the human factions. Predators got to be real freaking careful. You go die real fast. You go make a big mistake. Predators are unforgiving. You make a mistake, it costs you. Aliens are basically like a turtle deck. You sit at home and you just like, I'm gonna build. So it's like a solitaire deck. But it's a solitaire deck that eventually the enemy is gonna come knocking, and you can't really do anything to stop them. You can slow them down, but you can't stop them. So that's that. That's what I did instead of painting today, because I need to go back to work now. I'm gonna go back to work and I'm gonna get some stuff listed, and I'm gonna pull my hair, what's left of my hair out. It's not much, but there's some, and I'm gonna pull it out of my skull. And it's got 37, 137. Yeah, I suppose that's long enough. Oh yeah, I got to get going. Anyway, so that was me streaming, not painting today. Sorry. We'll bring painting back tomorrow. I'll be painting. I needed to let it dry a little bit more too anyway. I'll just use that excuse. It's just an excuse though. But with that, I'm out of here. Have a good day.